Hello, this is Mark Summers again from Summers Technical Services. We're going to finish up and create a drawing of a spatial model we did earlier in an earlier tutorial. So let's go take a look at our spatial model. And to create a new drawing, we'll just hit the new button and we'll do a B-size landscape drawing using our template. Part's relatively small. I think it'll fit nicely at scale 1:1 on a B-size drawing. So it pops us in. It's asking us what model we want to use. That's the correct model. We'll hit next. And we'll just pick the view we want to create. I think I'll start with the top view and then place a projected front view. And I'm done with that, so I'll approve that. I don't like the scale of the views there, so I'll right click on the sheet, edit sheet format. Whoops, I'm going to do that. I want to select the sheet and go right click properties and then change the sheet scale to 1:1. Yeah, it looks a little better. Yeah, I think I want a section view so I can see these holes in a section view, so I'll choose section view and I'll select the center of that view, approve that, and then drag my section view over here where I want it and approve that. Automatically get the view letters and the drawing label all for free, all parametric. So I think I'll add one more view. Let's do an ISO view. Put it up in the corner there. That's still the correct model. And I'll choose the ISO view option. And again, I'll change the scale to use the sheet scale, which is now 1:1. Okay, now I'm ready to put some dimensions in. I don't want to redraw dimensions. I've already got a bunch of them in the model, so let's go to model items and just show the dimensions we've already created when we created the model. I'll do the entire model until I have to go ahead and import these. Now let's look at the dimensions. Let's look at hole callouts, and we'll also do hole wizard locations. And I'll approve that, and the views, the dimensions pop in, which is nice. Here's my hole size. It already tells me there's 2 holes, size and the depth, all parametrically called out in the note. So now I'm going to add some center marks for these holes. Just select the center mark option and select these holes to pop in some center marks there, and I'll pop in a center mark for the overall diameter there. I'll approve that. Now I'll make some center lines as opposed to center marks. So I'll go center line. Let's put a center line in this view down here. So I'll select these cylindrical features. There's that one. And I'll select the cylindrical feature here. Puts me one in there. And then for these holes, the same thing. Puts in center lines for those. I'll approve that. Now these dimensions came in nicely, but some of them are not in the correct views that I want. So I can select these dimensions, hold down the shift key, and just drag them into the views where I want them to be displayed. That's kind of nice. This dimension here needs to go to this view. This one over here. And I think I'm done with that. And maybe I'll even put this radius dimension, put him down in this other view down here, this front view I created. Okay, so the views are getting cleaned up. I can move these dimensions around, and I can also change the tolerances on these dimensions. So if I hold down the shift button, select those 2 dimensions, pops up the property dialog box for that dimension. I can change these to 2-place dimensions, which is what I want. Down here in this view, I want that one to be a 2-place dimension as well. Property box, change him. And do some more cleanup on these dimensions very easily. These dimensions here I don't really want. I want to show a chamfer dimension, so I'll select these 2, hold down the shift button, and I'll delete those dimensions. It doesn't delete them from the model, it just deletes them from being displayed here on this view. And lastly, I think I'll put this dimension in this other view over here. And if I don't like the way it's displayed, I can select it. Dialog box will pop up, and I can choose, I guess I've already chosen some tolerances on the whole, bilateral tolerances. I can change the way it's displayed if I want to. Didn't change the size, it just changed the display. And let's see if I can find an option to, well, we'll just leave it like that. Okay, so other than just cleaning up these dimensions a little bit, I think I've got it pretty well defined. Still need to go in and fill out the title block and notes for the material and do the release comments. But I think you get the idea of how to get started with doing drawings in Solidworks. Pretty much make themselves, just following a few simple rules. So we'll leave this tutorial, we'll close this tutorial out, and hope you look for other tutorials in Solidworks and other CAD tools at Summers Technical Services. Hello again, this is Mark Summers from Summers Technical Services. We're going to follow up with a spacer model we did in a previous tutorial and create a drawing defining that part. It'll look something like that. Let's go take a look at our model we did last time, and we'll start a new drawing just by just saying File, New, and we'll select our B-size template that we've got. It should be a good size, make our views 1-to-1, and be able to fit everything in there nicely. It's asking for the model we want. That's the correct model. We'll hit Next, and I'll place my view. I'll put my top view as my primary view, and I'll drag a projected front view in also, and approve that. I'll notice that the view is a little bit too big, so if I go to the sheet and go to Properties, I can change the sheet scale to 1-to-1, and that'll look a little bit better. Now I think I want to add a section view, so I'll go to my View Layout button, select Section View, and I'll select that center point of that view as the origin, approve that, and then drag my view over here and place it. So that looks good. I think I've got enough auxiliary or orthogonal views. I put one more view in for an ISO view, just for grins. Again, select the correct model and just select the view we want. And I want to change this to the scale to use the sheet scale, so it'll be 1-to-1 like the other views. And we may want to add some dimensions. Well, we don't want to create new dimensions. We've got dimensions for the model already, so let's just show the dimensions we already have by selecting model items and just showing those dimensions we've already created when we made the model. Let's just do the whole model. We'll go ahead and automatically import them. We'll choose dimensions, we'll choose the whole wizard profiles, and we'll show the locations of those holes. So we've got the options we want, we approve that. Boom, there's all the dimensions that were created when we made the model. Some of these dimensions belong in different views, so you can just select the dimensions, hold down the Shift button, and drag them to the views you want. That one belongs over here. And maybe some of these views, we'll approve that. Some of these other dimensions we may not even want on our drawing, so we can just select them and delete them. It doesn't delete them from the model, it just removes them from the drawing. There's another dimension that belongs in a different view, so I'll hold down the Shift button, drag him over here. So now we're starting to get the drawing looking like we want. Here's another dimension that belongs in another view. So we'll shift him over to here, and similarly shift this one over there as well. And one more, this one looks like it belongs down here. Okay, so we can clean these dimensions up a little bit. And maybe these dimensions here are not necessarily ones that we want 3-place decimal accuracy, so I'll shift and select both of those, and I'll pull this down and make those 2-place dimensions, as I will with the radius dimension up here, since 2 decimal places seems plenty accurate. Now we want to add some center lines in here. We can just go back to the annotation tab, go to center mark. We can place center marks on these holes here, and then maybe on the overall there. We'll approve that. And then maybe down here I want a center line instead of a center mark. So I'll select center line option and then select one of these cylindrical features. And both edges, and it throws in that center line for me. Then maybe the same thing over here. Again, go to center line and select a couple of opposing features. Center line. Let's do opposing features and then select here in the middle. That'll give me a center line. So now all that's lacking is cleaning up some of these dimensions. I can change the type by just selecting dimension, and the properties box comes up. And again, I can drag these around to make them look more appealing. So that'll get us started on our drawing. Matter now just filling out the title block and clean up some of these dimensions. So hopefully that helps you get started with making drawings in Solidworks. So until next time, that'll be the tutorial for now, and good luck with your modeling and drawing projects.